Your spine is not just holding you upright, it is aging you. Every single day, with every movement you do not make, with every hour you spend, locked in a single position, your spine is sending a message to your entire body. And that message is not good. I want you to think about something for a moment. Think about someone you know who is in their 70s or 80s, but moves like they are decades younger. They bend down easily. They turn their head without stiffness. They get up from a chair without groaning or pushing off with their hands. Now think about someone in their 40s or 50s who already moves like they are ancient, stiff, rigid, careful with every motion, as if something might break. What separates these two people is not genetics. It is not luck. It is not even exercise in the traditional sense. It is the state of their spine. More specifically, it is the fluidity of their spine. You see, researchers have discovered something fascinating in recent years. The rate at which your body ages is not fixed, it is not predetermined at birth, it is influenced by signals that come from your environment, from your habits, from your movement patterns. And one of the most powerful sources of these signals is your spinal column. Your spine is not just bone and cartilage, it is a communication superhighway. It houses your spinal cord, which carries messages between your brain and every system in your body. It contains cerebrospinal fluid, which nourishes your nervous system and removes waste. And running alongside it, passing through it, wrapping around its tissues, is the longest nerve in your body, the vagus nerve. Now I have talked about the vagus nerve before. You may already know that it controls your parasympathetic nervous system. You may know that it influences your heart rate, your digestion, your inflammation levels, your stress response. But what most people do not realize is the intimate relationship between your vagus nerve and your spine. The vagus nerve originates in your brainstem. It descends through your neck, right alongside your cervical vertebrae. It branches out to your heart and lungs. It continues down past your thoracic spine to reach your digestive organs. This nerve is in constant communication with your spinal column, and the state of your spine directly affects how well this nerve functions. When your spine is fluid and mobile, the vagus nerve can transmit signals efficiently. Your parasympathetic system activates properly. Your body enters states of repair and regeneration. When your spine is stiff and rigid, those signals get disrupted. Your nervous system stays in a chronic state of low-level stress. Your body prioritizes survival over repair, and when your body prioritizes survival over repair for long enough, you age faster. This is not speculation, this is physiology. A study published in the journal Neurobiology of Aging found that spinal degeneration is one of the strongest predictors of biological aging. People with healthier, more mobile spines showed younger biological ages than people with stiff, degenerated spines, even when they were the same chronological age. Another study from the University of Pittsburgh found that spinal mobility was directly correlated with vagal tone. The more flexible the spine, the stronger the vagus nerve response. The stiffer the spine, the weaker the parasympathetic activation. Think about what this means. The flexibility of your spine is not just about whether you can touch your toes. It is about whether your nervous system can properly regulate your entire body. It is about whether your cells receive the signals to repair themselves or the signals to stay in emergency mode. This is why some people seem to age gracefully while others deteriorate quickly. It is not willpower, it is not discipline. It is neurological. Their spines are sending different messages to their bodies. Now here is where this gets really interesting. For thousands of years, traditional practices from cultures around the world have emphasized spinal movement. Not heavy lifting, not intense stretching, but fluid, wave-like movement of the spine. In China, this is fundamental to Qigong. The spine moves like a serpent, like water flowing through a pipe. Practitioners describe the sensation as energy moving up and down the spine, but what they are really describing is restored neural signaling through a mobile spinal column. In India, the Kundalini tradition speaks of energy rising through the spine. But strip away the mystical language, and what you find is sophisticated knowledge about spinal mobility and nervous system activation. The chakras they describe map remarkably well onto nerve plexuses along the spine. In ancient Greece, physicians observed that people who maintained spinal flexibility lived longer and healthier lives than those who became rigid with age. Hippocrates himself wrote about the importance of spinal health. These cultures did not have MRI machines. They did not understand neuroscience in modern terms, but they observed something true about the human body. A fluid spine is a young spine. A rigid spine is an aging spine. Modern science is now beginning to understand why. Your spine contains something called the dura mater. This is a tough membrane that surrounds your spinal cord and brain. It is continuous, meaning it connects your cranium to your sacrum in one unbroken sheath. When your spine moves fluidly, this membrane gets gently stretched and released. This pumping action helps circulate cerebrospinal fluid. And cerebrospinal fluid is not just padding for your brain. It is the medium through which your glymphatic system operates. The glymphatic system is your brain's cleaning mechanism. It was only discovered in 2012, and it has revolutionized our understanding of brain health and aging. While you sleep, and when you are in parasympathetic states, your glymphatic system flushes waste products out of your brain, including beta-amyloid proteins associated with Alzheimer's and tau proteins, linked to other neurodegenerative conditions. But here is the key. The glymphatic system depends on the movement of cerebrospinal fluid, and the movement of cerebrospinal fluid is enhanced by spinal mobility. When your spine moves fluidly, you are literally helping your brain clean itself. When your spine is rigid, that cleaning process becomes less efficient. Waste accumulates. Brain fog becomes chronic. Cognitive decline accelerates. This is why spinal health and brain health are inseparable. Let me explain the mechanism more precisely. Your autonomic nervous system has two branches. The sympathetic branch is your accelerator. It speeds things up, increases alertness, prepares you for action or danger. The parasympathetic branch is your brake. It slows things down, promotes rest, enables repair and regeneration. These two systems should balance each other. Throughout the day, you should shift between them based on what you are doing and what your body needs. The problem is that modern life keeps most people stuck in sympathetic dominance. Work stress, screen time, sitting for hours, information overload, all of these push your nervous system toward the accelerator. And when your spine is rigid, it compounds the problem. A stiff spine sends danger signals to your brain. Your body interprets rigidity as a sign that something is wrong. Maybe there is injury, maybe there is threat. The nervous system responds by increasing vigilance, by staying in a protective state. This becomes a vicious cycle. Stress causes spinal tension. Spinal tension sends stress signals. Those signals cause more tension. The spine becomes stiffer. The signals become louder. Eventually, your nervous system forgets how to relax. Your baseline shifts toward chronic activation, and chronic sympathetic activation is one of the primary drivers of accelerated aging. This is why people who are chronically stressed age faster. It is not just the psychological burden, it is the physical tension pattern, especially in the spine, that keeps their nervous system in emergency mode. The solution is not to try to relax harder. You cannot think your way out of this pattern. You have to move your way out. Specifically, you have to restore fluidity to your spine. If you are finding this information valuable, take a moment to subscribe to the channel and leave a like. It helps more people discover this content. Now let me describe the movement pattern that can reverse this process. I am not going to guide you through it in real time. That is not what this video is for. Instead, I want you to understand the principle so deeply that you can apply it yourself, in your own time, in your own way. The movement I am describing takes about 3 minutes. It can be done standing, sitting, or lying down. The position does not matter as much as the quality of the movement. The principle is simple. You are going to create a wave that travels through your spine, from your tailbone to your skull, and back again. Think about how water moves. It does not jump from point A to point B, it flows. Each molecule influences the next. The movement is continuous, smooth, sequential. That is how your spine should move. Your spine has 33 vertebrae. In most people, these vertebrae have become functionally fused. Not literally fused, but they move as a unit rather than individually. People bend from their hips and their neck, while the middle of their spine remains frozen. The wave motion wakes up each vertebra. It reminds them that they are separate, that they can move independently while remaining connected to the whole. When you create a wave motion through your spine, you are doing several things simultaneously. First, you are mobilizing each vertebra individually. Most people move their spine as a single, rigid block. They bend from the hips or the neck, leaving the middle segments frozen. A wave motion teaches each vertebra to move independently while staying connected to the whole. Second, you are stimulating the vagus nerve. The wave motion creates gentle pressure, changes around the nerve as it passes through your cervical and thoracic regions. This is like a massage for your nervous system. Third, you are pumping cerebrospinal fluid. The wave creates alternating compression and expansion in your dural membrane, enhancing the flow of fluid around your brain and spinal cord. Fourth, you are sending a powerful signal to your nervous system. The fluid motion tells your body that it is safe. There is no injury. There is no threat. The danger signals stop. The parasympathetic system can activate. Here is how to do it. Start by finding your natural breath. Do not try to breathe deeply. Just notice what your breath is already doing. Now bring your attention to the base of your spine, your coccyx, your tailbone. Imagine this is where the wave begins. As you inhale, let your pelvis tilt slightly forward. Not a big movement, just enough to feel your lower back arch gently. Let that arch travel up your spine, like a ripple moving through water. Feel it move through your lumbar vertebrae, then your thoracic vertebrae, then your cervical vertebrae. Let your head float up slightly at the end. As you exhale, reverse the wave. Let your head drop slightly. Feel the movement travel down through your neck, through your upper back, through your lower back. Let your pelvis tilt backward as the wave completes. That is one cycle. The key is not the size of the movement, it is the quality. It should feel smooth, continuous, effortless, no jerking, no forcing, no trying to achieve a certain range of motion. Think of it less like exercise and more like finding a natural rhythm that your spine already wants to do. If you have been sedentary for years, this movement might feel unfamiliar at first. Parts of your spine might feel stuck or disconnected. That is normal. With practice, those segments will gradually wake up. If you have pain or injury, modify the movement to stay within your comfortable range. The principle works even with very small movements. It is the wave pattern that matters, not the amplitude. Some people find it helpful to imagine a ball of warm light travelling up and down their spine. Others prefer to visualize water flowing. Others simply focus on the physical sensation without any imagery. Find what works for you. There is no single correct approach. 3 minutes of this movement creates a measurable shift in nervous system state. Your heart rate variability increases. Your cortisol levels drop. Your vagal tone improves. But the real benefits come from consistency. Here is what happens over time. In the first week, you will notice that the movement becomes easier. Parts of your spine that felt frozen will start to participate. Your breath will naturally deepen. In the second week, you may notice changes in your sleep. The parasympathetic activation from the morning movement carries forward. Your nervous system becomes better at down-regulating at night. By the end of the first month, your baseline posture often improves without trying. When your spine is mobile, it naturally finds better alignment. You do not have to force yourself to sit up straight. After 2 to 3 months, the effects become more profound. Your stress response changes. Things that used to trigger anxiety no longer have the same power. Your recovery from challenges is faster. After 6 months, people often notice that they look different. Not because they have lost weight or changed their appearance deliberately, but because chronic tension in the face and body has released. There is an ease in how they carry themselves that was not there before. Long-term practitioners often report that they feel younger than they did years ago, not from building muscle or losing weight, from restoring the natural fluidity that they had as children. This is not magic, it is neuroscience. You are retraining your nervous system by changing the signals that your spine sends. Now I want to address something important. Many people hear about practices like this and think they need to add another item to their already overwhelming routine. They imagine having to wake up earlier, finding the perfect quiet space, dedicating significant time they do not have. That mindset misses the point entirely. 3 minutes is 3 minutes. You can do this before you even get out of bed. You can do it during a break at work. You can do it while waiting for your coffee to brew. The goal is not to create a perfect practice. The goal is to interrupt the pattern of rigidity that accumulates throughout your day. Modern life is constantly pushing you towards stiffness. Sitting, driving, staring at screens, holding tension, suppressing emotions. All of this lodges in your spine. You do not need to counteract all of it. You just need to remind your spine a few times a day that it knows how to flow. That fluidity is its natural state. That the rigidity is learned, not inherent. Even 90 seconds of wave motion can shift your nervous system state. If 3 minutes feels like too much, start with 90 seconds. Twice a day, 90 seconds, each time. That is enough to begin reversing the pattern. Let me go deeper into the science of why this works. Your spinal cord is not just a cable carrying signals. It is an active participant in your nervous system regulation. Within your spinal cord are what researchers call central pattern generators. These are neural circuits that produce rhythmic outputs. They control things like walking, breathing, and the basic rhythms of your body. When your spine moves in a fluid wave pattern, you are activating these central pattern generators. You are giving them input that stimulates healthy rhythmic output. Think of it like this. Your nervous system has a natural rhythm, a healthy rhythm. But that rhythm can become disrupted by chronic tension, by lack of movement, by stress. The wave motion reminds your nervous system what healthy rhythm feels like. It provides a template, a pattern that your neural circuits can synchronize with. This is why the movement feels calming even on the first try. You are not just stretching muscles. You are communicating with your nervous system in its native language. Research from Stanford has shown that rhythmic spinal movement activates different brain regions than static stretching. It engages the cerebellum, which coordinates movement and also plays a role in emotional regulation. It activates the insula, which processes internal body sensations and is crucial for self-awareness. In other words, fluid spinal movement is not just physical, it is neurological. It changes how your brain processes information about your body state. This explains something that researchers have puzzled over for years. People who practice movement disciplines like Tai Chi or gentle yoga show better cognitive function as they age, not because these practices are aerobic or build strength, but because they maintain spinal fluidity. A fluid spine means a brain that receives accurate information about body state, a brain that can regulate autonomic function properly, a brain that stays younger because the signals it receives are the signals of a healthy, mobile body. Now let me talk about the mistakes people make. The first mistake is moving too quickly. This is not about speed. Faster movement does not mean better results. In fact, faster movement often means worse results. The nervous system responds to quality, not quantity. A slow, smooth wave that takes 10 seconds to travel from tailbone to skull is more effective than a quick movement that takes 2 seconds. Speed activates the sympathetic system. Slowness activates the parasympathetic system. You want slowness. The second mistake is making the movement too big. People think they need to achieve a dramatic arch in their back or a deep curve in their spine. No. The movement can be almost invisible to an outside observer. What matters is that you feel it internally, that you sense the wave travelling through each segment of your spine. Bigger is not better. More subtle often means more effective. The third mistake is holding the breath. Some people naturally hold their breath when they try to do something precisely, but holding the breath activates the sympathetic system. It defeats the purpose. Let your breath flow naturally. The wave motion and the breath should coordinate, but not through force. Let them find their own rhythm together. The fourth mistake is expecting immediate dramatic results. This is not a hack. This is not a quick fix. This is a practice. The benefits accumulate over time. Each session adds a small amount to your reservoir of nervous system health. The transformation happens gradually, then suddenly becomes noticeable. Be patient, trust the process. The physiology is working even when you cannot feel it. The fifth mistake is inconsistency. 3 minutes once a week will not change anything. 3 minutes every day will change everything. Your nervous system learns through repetition. Each time you practice, you strengthen the neural pathways associated with fluid movement and parasympathetic activation. Over time, those pathways become your default, but only if you give them enough repetition to solidify. The sixth mistake is treating this as isolated exercise. Spinal fluidity is not separate from the rest of your life. It connects to how you breathe, how you sit, how you respond to stress, how you sleep. The wave motion is a starting point, but ideally you begin to bring the quality of fluidity into everything you do. The way you walk, the way you reach for things, the way you turn your head. Fluidity becomes a way of being, not just a 3-minute practice. Now, if you want to take this further, I have something that might help. I created a complete guide called the Vagus Nerve Reset Protocol. It goes much deeper than what we can cover in a single video. It includes advanced breathing techniques for different situations, morning protocols, evening protocols, methods for acute stress. It covers cold exposure, vocal toning, specific dietary recommendations that support vagal function. Everything is explained step by step so you can build a complete practice. If you are serious about resetting your nervous system, the link is in the description below. Let me explain why timing matters. The best time to practice this movement is in the first few minutes after waking. Here is why. When you wake up, your body is transitioning from parasympathetic dominance during sleep to sympathetic activation for the day. This transition sets the tone for your entire nervous system. Most people immediately grab their phone, check messages, scroll through news. This floods the brain with stimulation before it has fully come online. The transition becomes abrupt, jarring. The nervous system overcorrects towards stress. If instead you spend 3 minutes creating a fluid wave through your spine, you give your nervous system a different message. You tell it that the transition can be gradual. You allow parasympathetic function to remain engaged even as you become alert. This changes your entire day. Not because 3 minutes is enough to overcome all your stress, but because you have started from a different baseline. Your nervous system has more capacity because it did not deplete itself in the first moments of consciousness. The second best time is before sleep. The same movement pattern, done with slower, smaller waves, helps your nervous system transition in the other direction. It tells your body that the day is ending, that vigilance is no longer needed, that repair can begin. People who do this movement before bed often report falling asleep more easily and sleeping more deeply. Their nervous system has received a clear signal to down-regulate. The third useful time is during periods of acute stress, when you feel tension building, when your thoughts start racing, when your body tightens up. Even 60 seconds of spinal wave movement can interrupt the escalation. It gives your nervous system an alternative to spiraling deeper into fight or flight. Let me address something that comes up frequently. People ask whether this practice can help with specific conditions: back pain, anxiety, insomnia, digestive issues, chronic fatigue. The answer requires nuance. This practice does not treat specific conditions. That is not how to think about it. What this practice does is restore healthy nervous system function. When your nervous system functions properly, many symptoms that seem like separate problems often improve. Back pain frequently has a nervous system component. When your body is in chronic sympathetic activation, muscles stay tense. Blood flow to tissues decreases. Pain sensitivity increases. Inflammation persists. By shifting toward parasympathetic function, you create conditions where the body can heal. Anxiety is fundamentally a nervous system state. It is your body sensing danger and responding accordingly. By training your nervous system to access parasympathetic states more easily, you give yourself an alternative to chronic anxiety activation. Sleep depends on your ability to down-regulate at night. If your nervous system is stuck in sympathetic mode, sleep becomes difficult or fragmented. By practicing parasympathetic activation during the day, you train the pathways that will be needed at night. Digestion requires parasympathetic function. The vagus nerve directly controls gastric motility, enzyme secretion, and the coordination of the entire digestive process. When vagal function is suppressed, digestion suffers. By improving vagal tone through spinal movement, you support healthier digestive function. Chronic fatigue often results from nervous system dysregulation. When your body is constantly in emergency mode, it depletes resources. By restoring the ability to enter true rest states, energy can be conserved and restored. But none of this means you should ignore symptoms or avoid medical care. This practice is foundational support for your nervous system, not a replacement for appropriate treatment when needed. Now I want to address the skeptics. Some people hear about practices like this and dismiss them as too simple. They are looking for complex protocols, advanced techniques, scientific-sounding interventions. But the truth is, your body is not waiting for complexity. It is waiting for the right signal. Think about how much complexity has already failed to help most people. Elaborate workout routines that people cannot maintain. Strict diets that last weeks before being abandoned. Meditation practices that feel like another chore. Expensive treatments that provide temporary relief. The body does not care about complexity. It cares about consistency and appropriate signals. A simple movement done daily for years will transform you. A complex routine done sporadically will not. This is why traditional practices emphasize simplicity. Not because our ancestors did not know better, but because they understood that the practice you actually do matters more than the practice you theoretically should do. 3 minutes of spinal waves done every morning for a year will change your biology more than any supplement or gadget or complicated program, because you will actually do it. The research supports this. Studies on the longest lived populations consistently find that they do not do intense exercise. They do gentle, consistent movement. They walk, they garden. They move naturally throughout the day, and they maintain spinal mobility far into old age. The blue zone populations that researchers study are not doing HIIT workouts or lifting heavy weights. They are staying fluid. They are keeping their spines supple. They are sending the right signals to their nervous systems. This is available to anyone. You do not need equipment. You do not need a gym membership. You do not need to be in shape first. You just need to create a wave. There is something I have noticed in the comments on these videos. People often say they feel like they understand their body for the first time, that they never realized how much was happening below their conscious awareness. That learning about the vagus nerve and the nervous system has given them a new relationship with themselves. This is perhaps the most important benefit of this work. When you understand how your body operates, you stop fighting against it. You start working with it. You recognize that symptoms are signals, not enemies. That your body is always trying to communicate with you. The stiffness in your spine is a message. It is telling you that your nervous system has been in survival mode for too long, that your body needs something different. The practice I have taught you is a response to that message. It is you saying to your body, I hear you, I understand. Let us try something different. This changes everything, not just physically, but psychologically. You become a participant in your own health rather than a passive observer. You have agency. You have tools. You understand the mechanism. And that understanding itself is healing. Let me share one more concept before we close. There is a principle in neuroscience called neuroplasticity. It refers to the brain's ability to change and reorganize itself based on experience. For a long time, scientists believed that neuroplasticity was only possible in childhood, that the adult brain was fixed and unchangeable. We now know this is wrong. The adult brain maintains significant plasticity throughout life. It continues to change in response to what we do, what we practice, what signals it receives. This means that the patterns encoded in your spine and nervous system are not permanent. They can be changed. The rigidity that has accumulated over years or decades can be softened. The pathways that have become dominant can be rewired. But neuroplasticity requires input. The brain changes in response to experience. Without new experience, it maintains its current patterns. The wave motion provides that new input. Each time you practice, you are giving your nervous system an experience of fluidity, an experience that contradicts the habitual pattern of rigidity. Over time, that new experience begins to overwrite the old pattern. The pathways associated with fluidity become stronger. The pathways associated with rigidity become weaker. This is how real change happens. Not through willpower, not through discipline, through consistent practice that gives your nervous system a new template. 3 minutes a day. That is all it takes to provide the input your nervous system needs to begin changing. The change will not happen overnight. Neuroplasticity is gradual, but it is real and it is powerful. Every day you practice, you are literally rewiring your nervous system. You are creating new neural pathways. You are building a different relationship between your brain and your body. This is perhaps the most empowering thing I can tell you. Your current state is not permanent. Your biology is not fixed. The patterns that feel like they have always been there can be changed. You just need to provide the right input, consistently, over time. Let me leave you with this perspective. Right now, as you listen to this, your spine is in some state. It is either relatively fluid or relatively rigid. There is either easy movement between your vertebrae, or there is restriction and tension. That state is not random. It is a reflection of accumulated patterns. Every hour of sitting, every period of stress, every time you held tension rather than releasing it, all of that has been recorded in your spinal tissues, and that accumulated pattern is sending a message to your entire body. It is telling your cells how to behave. It is telling your nervous system what state to maintain. It is influencing how fast you age. You did not choose this pattern consciously. Most people never do. It accumulated by default, as a side effect of modern life. But you can choose something different. 3 minutes a day. A wave that moves from your tailbone to your skull and back again. The simplest intervention imaginable. Your spine has been waiting for this signal. Your nervous system has been waiting for permission to change states. Your cells have been waiting for the message that repair is possible. That message is not going to come from outside. No pill, no doctor, no expensive treatment can send it. It can only come from you, from your own body, moving in the way it was designed to move. The question is not whether this works. The research is clear. The traditional knowledge is unanimous. The physiology makes perfect sense. The question is whether you will actually do it. Tomorrow morning, before you look at your phone, before you think about your tasks, before you engage with the world. 3 minutes. Let your spine remember what it feels like to be fluid. Let your nervous system receive the signal that safety is possible. Let your body know that you are finally paying attention. If this video has changed how you think about your spine and your health, take a moment to subscribe. I release new content regularly on neuroscience, nervous system regulation, and practical techniques for better living. Leave a comment below. I want to know what shifted for you while watching this. What question do you still have? What you are going to try tomorrow? Share this video with someone who has been struggling with stiffness, stress, or feeling older than their years. You never know whose life might change from a 3-minute practice. And remember, you are not fighting against aging. You are learning to send the right signals. Your spine already knows how to be young. It just needs you to remind it. This is Parasympathetic. I will see you in the next one.